Hello, I'm Mike King of Recruit King Search Firm in Toronto, Ontario. And today I'm going to talk about the 3 steps of the process for finding your dream job. Every September I get a lot of calls from candidates who've returned from summer vacation with their families. The summer is now over and suddenly they're hit by the hard fact that they don't like their job and they need to make a move. And often it seems like a very daunting process for them in terms of trying to figure out what the next move is for them career-wise, what industry, where to find that job, and also they obviously don't want to disrupt their current salary as well. So it is a process where there needs to be some time and effort put into it, and it's actually not as complex as one might believe. There's a great quote in the best-selling book, What Color is Your Parachute? And they mention that the average person will spend more time planning their 224-hour family vacation than they will for their 80,000-hour career. So, just let that sink in for a minute. So, the easy process and the most direct process is really, like I said, 3 steps. So there is the what, the where, and the how. The 3 steps need to be followed in order. There should be no skipping steps to move to the how, and I'll explain why later. But let's start with the what. And in the what, you're going to use one sheet of paper or notebook, whatever you prefer, and you're going to write down all the areas of strength that you bring to the table. So these are all the attributes or gifts, talents that you have that you would bring to a potential employer. And really what these are all the areas where you excel, and that they could be a number of things. They could be data, or they could be people, or they could be things all related to those areas. So if you look at data, there's systems that you would know, that be very familiar with, programs, etc., that would be of value to an employer. People would be those people strengths that you've got, whether it's managing people directly, training, coaching, mentoring, or whether it's project management, movement, and getting people on board that may be indirect reports, but you're able to collaborate and drive them better. And then the things area is the actual functional areas of the job that you excel in. And if you look at those areas, if you were to create your ideal job description into percentage of your day that you're spending on certain activities, you want to be ranking those, and most likely the one that you're ranking as the highest percentage would be the best strength for you, because it's where your passion lies as well. So you want to really be exhaustive in this first part of the process and really record everything that you bring to the table. And you may want to go into even your values that parlay into areas of strength for you as an employee as well. And so you may want to spend a couple of days. It's not something you're going to knock off in an afternoon. You may need to put some thought into this page, in this step. And one of the key pieces for this step is really key for people that are in transition. So often when someone is in transition, they're feeling a little bit of an ego bump. They might have been knocked a little bit. They might have been let go, not on their terms, and they're not feeling completely confident in their skill set. And they might be using skills that aren't their strongest. So when you're doing this stage, you really are able to reiterate what you're really good at. And sometimes you can see, hey, I wasn't in the right position. That's why I wasn't excelling in that role. And it can sort of give you that boost of confidence that you need to find that role where you will be using those skills. So very helpful, this step, for people that are in transition. The next page, or the next step, is the where. And again, you want to make sure that you're doing this on a separate page. So if you're doing old school notebook style, it's a different page. If it's you're doing it in Word, it's a different Word document. So don't mix the 2 documents. And the where is really trying to outline the ideal environments for you to be working. So first, you're going to obviously start with geography. And some people have limitations there, some don't. That's the easy part. But now you want to talk about things that maybe you haven't talked about before. And I would start with your interests. Where are your interests? What subjects are of interest to you? What fields do these point you towards? What really stands out? What type of occupation could work well in those areas? Those are all areas and items that would be indicated on this list. So really get exhaustive and really push the creative buttons. So, there's no crazy idea for this list. You want to be able to just write down anything that comes to your mind. A classic example of things that have changed are that people are now blogging or playing video games for a living now. So anything is possible. So no matter how crazy it seems, and you may think that there's no occupation there or no way to make a living, write it down anyways. And then the final piece of this one would be really indicating companies that would be in these fields of interest. So really doing some research and finding some companies that might be a fit in terms of some of these areas where you want to be operating. And then the final stage is the how. And the how is really where you're marrying up the two lists. So bringing the what and the where and then moving it to the how. So really moving towards that company that's going to be your next employer. The how is where you really leverage your network and where you're reaching out to people for help, and you're really being specific in targeting certain companies and targeting certain areas within those companies, and you use your network to try to get introduced to people in those companies. So LinkedIn is obviously a great way to start. It's amazing how many people know people in those companies that you may not even realize, or people that have worked in those companies previously that would have ins or even insight into that. And then there's the classic 6 degrees of separation as well. You often know people that know someone of influence over there, or know someone that could be relevant to you for that work in those organizations. So really exhaust that network and make notes in terms of who you know and who you could leverage going forward. And the best part about this stage, and it's only the best part if you've done the first 2 stages, is that you're very, very confident at this point. You know exactly what you want. You know what you bring to the table. Your passion is really expressive, and when people see that in a coffee or even in an interview, obviously, the success rate goes way up. And if you're trying to get referrals through your network to people that work at these organizations, you're coming across as much more of a 5-star candidate and someone who's very sure of what they want. They see the passion and they see the skill set. You're much more likely to get that referral within their network of people. And that's where there's a real issue for people who try to jump to the how stage, because people are very protective of their network and they don't want to waste contacts or waste their own network's time over an interview or a meeting for someone that isn't completely dialed into what they want, and they don't want to waste their own network's time. So if you can push confident people forward, you will, and if you don't, you tend to hesitate a little bit and maybe don't push so hard to introduce them to your network. So that is very key. Make sure you follow all 3 steps, and you will find that you'll feel much better about yourself. You'll realize that the process isn't as daunting as you thought it was, and you're closer to your dream job. For people that would rather have a written text version of this as opposed to video, please feel free to log on to my website, recruitking.ca. In the blog section, I have everything there, including all past blogs as well. And if there's something that you want to talk about or want me to talk about on video, please email me any subjects or any questions that you might have. My email is mike@recruitking.ca. Thanks so much. Good luck.